I'm Ron Medlicott. I'm a whistleblower, and I hope you'll find what I have to say interesting, because believe me, it concerns you. One of the problems that I've encountered in my previous career working as a job network recruitment consultant for a short period was the problem of fraud in the system. And I'm not talking about fraud by welfare recipients, I'm talking about fraud by the system. CES staff who engaged in breaching competitions. The prize, a $60 bottle of booze. You know, the Friday night happy hour. Working as a job network recruitment consultant, some of my peers were using breaching legislation to sign up people, get them breached after they'd received the federal government's $3,000 sign-up grant. Once the person was breached, they'd sign up somebody else. The worst rorter of all was the Howard government. The Howard government actually introduced breaching quotas, and between the 1st of July 2000 and the 30th of June 2002, something like 600,000 welfare recipients had the dole weeks, about 13 weeks, for such pathetic reasons as being 10 minutes late for an interview because the bus was running behind time. These people were defrauded of legitimate welfare entitlements. Now, I'm making a submission to a federal government inquiry that's looking at compliance measures set in place by Centrelink. These are penalties imposed for welfare recipients who do not meet their contractual obligations. There are compliance review panels. There are compliance failure penalties. Professor Disney and his staff are looking at this particular set of measures that are currently in place to determine their suitability. In the last few months I have made a number of submissions. But the one I want to focus on today is this one. It's called The Flip Side of Fraud, and in this video is a supplement to that document. I'm sure you've heard all the phrase a wolf in sheep's clothing. Most of the people who work in Centrelink, there's more than 40,000 of them, are honest, hard-working, decent people. But within their ranks are wolves in sheep's clothing. In more modern terms, you can call them Godwin Gretsch clients. These are people who've got their own agenda, and it's not an agenda that's good for welfare recipients. One of the problems with breaching legislation is that people died. When people have no other means of support but a welfare benefit, if you turn it off, someone who suffers from asthma can't buy an asthma puffer. So what happens? They get an asthma attack, no medication, they die. Natural causes. The same thing with people who have hypertension problems. When you get breached, that's really stressful. Stressful enough to trigger a fatal heart attack or a fatal stroke. Death by natural causes. A lot of job seekers get very stressed out because they really want a job, and they become highly frustrated when they can't get a job. Suddenly, for some trivial reason totally beyond their control, the dole is turned off for 13 weeks. They can't cope. They commit suicide. These were put down in the computer as a post-breaching terminal outcome. It's a statistic that's never been reported. I have here a whole pile of letters nicely encased in plastic to be preserved for posterity, and it's worth reading them and showing them to you. The first one comes from the Legal and Constitutional Affairs Committee. You won't find a date on it. They're in such a big hurry to get it out that they forgot to date it. Let me read a couple of things from it. The committee accepted your submission as submission 287 and has resolved to treat it as confidential. Now, check out submission 287 to the website. at the Senate's committee's postings of all those submissions. Mine's not yet available. It could have been classed as confidential and listed as such, but it's classed as not yet available. Breaching triggered deaths are a state secret. We're not talking ancient history. Here's another Senate suppression order. This one is dated the 1st of March 2010. We all know Senator Bob Brown. Let me read from this letter. It's dated the 15th of September 2006. I'll read the last line. As you have indicated, breaching can lead people to such despair that they take their own lives. Bob Brown's quite correct. The question is, how many? Not reported. Centrelink. This one is written by the Assistant Secretary, a gentleman named Neil Skill, and this letter is dated the 18th of May 2010. Reading from the second paragraph. Centrelink collects compliance data on behalf of the Department of Education, Employment and Workplace Relations. Centrelink does not collect post-breaching terminal outcome statistics and therefore is unable to assist you with your request for this information. I've been trying to get that information for 7 years. Now you know why it's not available. From Mark Abib, the current Employment Minister. Very hard to read what the date is because it's quite blurry, but it looks like the 1st of June or the 11th of June 2010. Let me read this to you. On the specific question you raised concerning claims that others have mentioned to you of there being records maintained of post-breaching terminal outcomes, there's no official record of this by the Department of Education, Employment and Workplace Relations, its successor departments, nor by Centrelink. Excuse me? Centrelink does have those statistics. They just make sure they don't pass them on to the Minister of Employment. It's called plausible deniability, which means I won't ask and you don't tell me. Breaching triggered deaths, as Tony Abbott has pointed out in the deaths of 4 ceiling insulation installers, are a crime. At least manslaughter, and in my home state of South Australia they could even be felony murders, which means no statute of limitation. So here's the Australian Federal Police approach, or their viewpoint on the matter. I would make the point that this letter is classified confidential and I'm not allowed to give out copies of it, but it's dated the 7th of July 2004, and here's what the Federal Police thought of welfare recipients who died as a result of being breached, possibly defrauded through breaching quotas. Our Operations Monitoring Centre has assessed this matter, taking into account a number of factors including the gravity/sensitivity of the matters, the current investigational workload, available resources, and whether any Commonwealth laws have been breached. Nice choice of word there. Well, they didn't want to investigate. They could send 10 police officers to Centrelink to help investigate Reuters, but it was quite apparent that, gravity sensitivity, there's not enough sensitivity with the deaths of welfare recipients to worry about investigating them. I wonder, if you're a welfare recipient, what do you think about that? Thank you for listening. I'm Ron Medlicott.